Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and a brand new video on Marvel Contest of Champions. This is kind of a champion review meets. I really like this champion, so I highly recommend him or her. It is her because there's a thumbnail that says it's a her. And as we know, this video is all about Rogue. I know I'm not talking about Rogue One, the very popular Star Wars movie that I particularly enjoy. And no, I'm not talking about the class in World of Warcraft, though I did highly enjoy the game. I had a very strong level 70 warrior called Darim, and that was a long time ago. I do miss playing the game, but it's not something I'm going to continue on or restart on the channel. So rest assured, for people like that, I won't cover it on the channel. And I'm thinking that these two gags, probably pretty pointless because you've seen the thumbnail, and that kind of mini gag going, what champion could it be, is probably wasted. But if you enjoy people being a little bit loud and passionate about the content they produce, then hey, then, you know, I suppose you could just subscribe. Yeah, subscribe if you want to. High quality content from me, RichTheMan. And yes, as we've been going on for the last few seconds, it is indeed Rogue that I'm going to be focusing this video on. I want to delve into why she's so good. This is delving, apparently. But now let's get into the serious aspect and why I really enjoy the champion, some things that I'd like to point out that are really good, and just trying to get a little bit of energy and a little bit of entertainment as we're delivering each content. First of all, the one thing to say about Rogue is, do not touch her hands. If you've watched any of the films, know any of the comic books and stuff around this champion, she is an absorber. She has a very rich tapestry, you know, like because I'm rich, with Carl Danvers and absorbing powers. That's exactly what she does in a nutshell. And even though her stats and attributes don't actually look that impressive, it is her abilities to absorb powers that makes her so much stronger as a champion, as well as brushing off of negative effects. Going up against champions that do emit so many painful and horrible things like bleeds and poisons, as well as stuff like cold snap. You want that to be reduced down over time when you don't want to take these debuff effects. You really don't. And that's one great thing about Rogue. I currently have Rogue at rank 3, and with the changes that are coming in game and the quicker and better opportunities available to get tier 2 alpha, I'm sure that I will rank for her at a later date. But a lot of champions that I'm coming into my roster, as we know, they're absolutely pathetic. My luck is terrible, and it's more than likely that she will get bumped up to rank 4, probably within the next couple of months. My focus at the moment is having those tier 2 alphas available for Blade to go up to rank 5, and another rank 4, which was going to be helpful with some other content that I'm doing. However, I still have plans to use Rogue, and I still do. She's a go-to champion for me for map 5 in Alliance Quest, and I'm sure that she will be in that same high-held esteem that I have her when it comes to the changes to map seasons for Alliance Quest in the future. If you cast your minds back to that fateful day when I did the Blade opening, that was painful. 7 5-star featured that I used, and the best one of them was indeed Rogue. So, got Rogue, and then got the Awakening in Dark Artifact Crystals in the last set of dungeons that were released. So, yep, I decided to kind of not hugely develop her. I developed my Nightcrawler first because I think I got the Awakening for Nightcrawler buff prior to her. So that's the reason I put loads of signature stones on him, because I wanted to utilize him, see how he was against the Collector, as well as using Daredevil, as well as using Spider-Man, and seeing which one maybe did the most damage, which was a bit more effective. Those kind of questions needed to be answered. And as well, having Iceman awakened now, I am looking to put a lot of more mutant signatures onto him. But once I feel that it's a point that he's doing enough damage, that's the point that I will indeed focus on Rogue and make sure that absorption is higher. We want that percentage to be higher. Better chance of getting critical and doing more lifesteal and more buff stealing. One thing that is a massive draw for Rogue is the 70% at this current stage, current rank. It may alter than this, but the ability to shrug off debuff effects, reducing down the time frame of having debuffs on for about 70% of, 70% less is still an incredible amount. If you've got a poison effect on a bleed effect, then having that go quite quickly is so reassuring. Even going up against Iceman, I was finding that she works out quite well. One thing that player base really likes is buff stealing, and Rogue has it. Similar to Loki, she likes to steal them buffs. 5 can be stolen at one given time, and it is great to kind of like put your hand in and just take out get a bit of life back, you get that back onto your health, you then do a little bit of energy damage, and at the same time take the enemy's buffs. If it's an enemy that's got a lot of buffs, then that is something that is pretty cool to see, just like taking like loads of armor, taking like fury buffs, taking those things that can be, you know, frustrating. Imagine if you're going up against like Venom, Carnage, that can be really cool. This is when a lot of people differ in their strategy in playing the champion. I know that in Alliance Quest, maybe it's me being a little bit lazy. The way that I work it is that if I feel that the enemy's getting too much power quickly, I will then shoot over to the L2 and try and steal back that power. However though, if I push to the L3 a bit more, I actually steal more power that the enemy gains. It's only 9% on the L2, but on the L3 we're stealing up to 27%, especially at this particular rank and this particular starage. Obviously other starage will vary with the amount of percentage, yada yada yada, you get the drift. However though, you know, I think I've got to push it in future to the L3, taking that larger amount of power, and at the same time, all those buffs that I've stolen with the L1 over the course of the battle then kind of like come back, and at the same time, the enemy can't generate those buffs. That's pretty cool. So the strategy may be to get up to an L3 and apply that in, and the next thing is maybe then pushing to then grab an L2 and taking off a little bit more power, especially if you feel you're pushing the enemy too much towards them generating their L3s, which in some cases, and depending on the difficulty of content you're going up against, could be absolutely detrimental to your battle, and it could be you're wiped out if and when they get to an L3. So L3, L2, maybe even push towards another L3 if you can make it, in order to kind of reduce down more of that power. 27%, another 27%, and kind of keep building on that. It could be a case that you'll instead like using the L1, and at times I do like the idea of stealing loads of buffs, but sometimes you just won't go up against enemies that you're able to steal buffs from. Or it's going to be a case that you just need to steal power. Rogue's a fantastic champion. She still can be used with lots of decent synergies. I've played about with the mutant synergy with her, and I actually find that to be quite effective, especially when we're talking about the champion is very heavy on doing specials. With some other champions, it's like, okay, well, they bleed. But with this champion, you need to do specials to take buffs away, and at the same time to take power from enemies, which that's cool. That forces you towards doing those special attacks. But there's nothing special going when it comes to synergies. It will probably be in the future that Kabam will look to develop the synergies as they've been doing with new release champions. So, you know, this new champion coming in has got an amazing synergy, which then has a champion from days of old or yesteryear, and that means that they're more powerful. I suspect Rogue is going to go down that route at a later date. So we all keep our fingers crossed for a lot of the new champions coming in. You know, we could be seeing Mr. Sinister, we could be seeing Apocalypse, lots of different champions. Apocalypse should have some like crazy synergies with him. Same thing with Mr. Sinister. Lots of different mutant champions that could make this this really strong and really powerful game to play. Yeah, I'm a big fan of mutants. There's lots of other people that are a fan of mutants. Frojo34 shout out. You know, we both talk about this. Big fans of X-Men animated series. Big fans of X-Men in general. So it would be nice to see the mutants get a big push in the coming months. So that's been a video all about Rogue. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content. If you think that Rogue is a really good champion, then say so. At the same time, me personally, I'd like to see these new synergies represent old champions, especially when it comes to mutant champions. So excited, as I said, for what they're going to do in the future. I've been RichTheMan, and I shall catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye for now.